What's up, Cosmic Fam? So today we got one little trick. We got one weird trick. No, I'm just kidding. It sounds like those pop-ups on websites that will go unmentioned. But anyways, back to business. Where does this trick come in handy? I like to use it when I'm working on my drops. Whenever I have a drop that has a one-shot kind of stabby synth element in it, and I just want to make it take up the whole mix without having to layer too many sounds over it, this is a great little simple technique to get your one-shots sounding huge. So let's take a listen first. I'm going to play it before the effects chain, and then I'll play a little bit after, play a couple times with a few different sounds so you could get a little bit variety, see what this is all about. So let's go. That's a weak ass sax. Not anymore. So there you have it. It's pretty effective. As you can hear, it can take a really simple, dry, boring sound and make it come to life over the kick drum and your bass line, and the groove is nice and tight. So what's all this about? How am I making this happen? Well, the first thing you'll see is actually a reverb, and you may be wondering, what the hell is the reverb doing first in the chain? If you've ever taken any of my classes, one of the things I'm really passionate about teaching my students is not to put your reverb first in the chain. Well, this is a great example of learning the rules to break the rules in order to make cool sounding stuff. And the reverb that I have here is very short. So if you're ever in a situation where you want to make a one-shot sound a little bigger, or maybe even if you're into resampling, meaning you're chopping out bits and pieces out of other tracks, loading them into a sampler. And a lot of times when you do that, you'll get pops from chopping from your edits. So this is also a great way to cover that up and to make your sounds, your sampled sounds, usable in the context of your track. So a small plate reverb is key because if you compress a very long reverb, and compressor is what we're going to have next in the chain, but if you compress a very long reverb, you end up getting too washed out of a sound. So it's very important that you use a very short reverb. And the other thing you'll notice is the way I EQ'd the reverb. So I'm getting rid of a bunch of the lows. You can play around with how aggressive or mild your cuts are. And I'm also cutting some of the highs out via a high shelf. And the reason that I do this, and this holds true for reverb in general, if you don't low pass your reverbs, you end up getting a very noisy sounding reverb. It'll almost sound like there's a layer of hiss, a layer of white noise sitting on top of your mix as the reverb sort of accumulates over itself. You'll get kind of like a shh happening across your entire track, and we definitely don't want that. So cut the lows and cut some of the highs. Now, what really makes this come together is compressing the reverb. And this is, again, against the rules, the textbook rules of compressing reverb. But if it sounds good, you know what? Screw it. We're going to use it. And the compressor I used here is called the Rocket. It's made by Stillwell Audio. It's an FET emulation compressor. FET compressors are generally very gritty sounding, very colored sounding. And this is a great compressor if you just want to smash the crap out of some sounds and kill their dynamics and just really bring out the low parts of the sound. And then what I also did after I compressed the reverb is I simply added a volume enveloper here. I used Kickstart to make the sound pump. So now let's take a listen to the plugins being added in order, starting with the plate reverb. Then a little bit of compression and some sidechain. So that's pretty much it. Very simple. If you want to take a look at my compressor settings, they're right here. The important thing is the amount of gain reduction. As you can see, when I hit play, the gain reduction that's occurring is pretty heavy. So you definitely want this compressor working hard. And you can leave the pump up to your preference. If you want to keep some of the transients, definitely try a multi-band volume enveloper. Something like a Cable Guy's volume shaper may fit the bill better to keep some of the high frequencies from pumping while still letting the low frequencies pump. So that's that for today. Hopefully this little trick helped you out. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email, drop me a line. I always love your guys' feedback. It's bo@cosmicconcepts.com.